Welcome, beautiful mamas. I am your host, Shay Harrison. This podcast is a place for Springfield and local surrounding area mamas to share their stories about life, motherhood, and everything in between, completely judgment-free. I am so excited to be able to share these stories with you and give women an opportunity to be heard. So if you're ready to laugh, open your mind, and be part of a supportive sharing community, let's crack on. Welcome to episode 17 of Stories of Springfield Mummies. Today's podcast is brought to you by Gym and Tonic Movement, so Springfield's women's only boot camps with sessions running from Rebel Domain. Friendships, fun, and just generally moving your body is the main focus of all of the sessions with Gym and Tonic Movement to help you fall in love with exercise and yourself again. For more information, head to either the website at www.gymandtonicmovement.com or search Gym and Tonic Movement on social media. Let's go! Hi, welcome to the podcast. How are you feeling?
Feeling good, thank you.
Awesome. Now, do you just want to introduce yourself for our listeners?
Sure. My name's Zeniab. I'm a mom of 3. I have 2 girls and a boy. My boy's 4, my middle child is 3, and my youngest is 1.
They are the cutest little, bundles of perfection. They are just gorgeous. I want to start off this podcast by just saying thank you so much for coming on. I feel really honoured that you have decided to share your story with myself and also on this platform. So thank you very much.
Pleasure, my pleasure.
But whenever you're ready, let's crack on with your story.
Okay, all right. So basically, my story that I'd like to talk about today is my experience with FGM, and FGM stands for Female Genital Mutilation, which is something that is culturally normal in our culture, I guess, and my country.
Are you happy to clarify just what that culture is?
Yep, so I'm East African, I'm Somalian, so it's very common, in a lot of African countries and Middle Eastern and sometimes even parts of Asia as well. FGM is very common in those parts of the world. So that's something that happened to us, me and my sisters when we were younger, and that's what I want to talk about today.
Yeah.
So basically it kind of starts, we were refugees, so in 91 there was war in Somalia, so my mum migrated to Kenya, and then we lived in a refugee camp for a long time. And we waited until we got a process, which is basically our application was accepted to come to Australia. And then my mum started to panic, all my older sisters already had their circumcision done, their FGM done, and she knew that we were going soon, so she needed to get it done. She contacted one of the elders locally that does it, and I remember we were kind of sleeping in our tents in the concentration camp, and they got me and my sister. I was 4 at the time, and my sister was 6 and a few months. So they laid us on the ground inside the tent on the floor, and they tied our hands like a star. So one hand, the other hand, and then legs wide open. And then I didn't know what was about to happen, but obviously I knew something was going to happen and it wasn't going to be pleasant. So I started pleading with the lady, and my sister was silent. She didn't say anything. So I just started to say, in my language, it's Edo Tertib, which basically that phrase, it translates as auntie, slow down. But what I meant is culturally we call all of our elders auntie or uncle. And then I was just telling her to take it easy on me, whatever she was going to do. So, sorry. No. She proceeded to get a razor blade, and there's different types of FGM. So for me, she combined two different types. The first part of the procedure, she removed all the external and the visible like the labia, the hood for the clitoris, and any clitoris that was visible. She completely removed that. She combined that procedure. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Okay, yeah.
So she combined that first procedure with another procedure, another type of FGM, which is it's referred to as infibulation, which is the narrowing of the vaginal opening, or in my case, what she did was that she completely sealed the vaginal opening. So she used stitches and she completely sewed me all the way up. There was no opening at all, not even enough to urinate. So, and during the procedure, I'm screaming, I'm wailing.
So they've used like no
numbing
cream,
no, nothing. Like there's no medical setting. Like I can feel every cut, every stitch. I'm 4 years old and I'm just keep saying, take it easy on me. And
did you at any point say stop? Ask to stop?
I just said because I just kept.
Is it because it was accepted?
Yeah.
You knew that your sisters
that
had already had this procedure?
had it. It's culturally norm. Actually, it's almost like shameful if your children don't have it. That's why my mum started to panic when we were going overseas. Like, how am I going to take girls that aren't circumcised overseas? Because also she didn't know that overseas meant like this, like it's not Somalia anymore. Like it's a different country with different people and like it's a different culture. So for her, it was still the Somalian culture. And
she thought she was doing the best thing for you.
Yeah, like everyone had it done like it's only normal or fair. She almost felt like it wouldn't be fair to us if she didn't do that to us. So once she got done with me and my sister's procedure, we were left there to lie on the floor to kind of like clean the blood or whatever. And then we needed to heal, so they kept us tied so we didn't like touch or anything like that. So we were there. That was, the procedure happened exactly 7 days before we were scheduled to fly to Australia.
So do you remember crying?
Yeah, I was crying like the whole procedure. I was just crying and I just kept repeating like a broken record, like that phrase, like slow down, take it easy on me, take it easy on me. And that's all I kept repeating and crying at the same time.
Yeah.
And she didn't, like she just kept going because I guess she's used to it. But we were younger than the girls that she normally does because the age is 7. 7, you get your daughter circumcised. Me and my sister were 4 and 6. So we weren't quite of age, but she had to kind of do it because we were going overseas and mum didn't know when she'd find someone in overseas to do it. So that's why we had it done younger.
Yeah.
Then 1996 in April, we were flown to Sydney, Australia. Yeah. Probably the best thing that could have happened to me, really. I don't think I'd be here today if we weren't flown here.
Yeah.
We were flown here. They had a house ready for us in Bondi Junction, right down by the beach.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, we had the most beautiful social workers and medical team just to come check, because we came from a refugee camp, just to come check our health and all that. And till this day, those social workers are like my grandparents, kind of.
Oh, wow.
So we always catch up when I go to Sydney. So came to Australia, and then I was here for about, no one's noticed that I haven't urinated. I'm not able to urinate at all. Like I'm swelling. I have like my feet and my hands are like swollen. Haven't gone to the toilet for the 7 days I was in Somalia, and for the 12 weeks I was in Australia for the first 12 weeks. And I'm just like,
you're 4, you don't really know.
I'm going to the toilet, but I'm not urinating. So they don't know like what's going on. But I didn't really say, hey, I'm not urinating. So no one really.
Because at that point, I assume you were going to the bathroom by yourself.
Yeah, I was going to the bathroom by myself. Like I was drinking by myself. But all I remember is like, my hands were so big, and my feet and my stomach, it was like bloated, but like a little past bloated. But then they thought, when eventually I went to the doctor, they thought, oh, maybe because she came from a foreign country, maybe it's like malaria or something like that. So they started like treating me for malaria. And I remember the nurse used to come to my house and give me like a tablet a day. Then still kept swelling, still had pains, and like it just got worse till my body kind of got to a point where it just shut down and I just fainted. I passed out. I woke up at Westmead Children's Hospital, and all I remember is there was like a whole group of like medical professionals, students, just surrounding me in my room. And like, I didn't know what was going on, but to them, this was unfamiliar. Like, this was like, what is this? It was almost like, it felt, they were very in my business. Like, they had taken photos, x-rays, and I guess to them, they're trying to figure out like, what is this and what's happening? But at the same time, there was like images. I don't know if they use it anymore, but you know, like when you get like an x-ray, you take it to your GP, they put it on that light.
Yeah.
So they had like my vagina, like all up on the lights everywhere. And like they've got students and medical professionals like looking at it and then talking about it. So everywhere you go in the hospital corner, I felt like someone was talking about me. But at the same time, they saved my life. They took out some of the stitching, so at least I had space to urinate. And I had to stay in hospital because I had like infections. I had like everything that you could think of, basically, that could have been caused by not being able to pee and it just swelling up internally. I stayed in the hospital. I think it was 5.5 months. I was in Westmead Children's. It became like my home, basically, for the first couple of months of my life in a new country. And Mum used to come visit me daily. Like, they took care of me. I had the most amazing healthcare team. The nurses, the doctors, they were all amazing. And it was great to finally be able to go to the toilet again, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I remember when my mum, because a lot of people confuse culture with religion, and my mum, what she did to us was culturally normal but religiously unacceptable. So, and in my country they confused the two. So I remember my mum coming to me and my sister when she'd learned a little bit more about her faith and stuff, and she was like crying, and she was like, please forgive me, like I didn't know any better, like I wish I could take back what was done to you, but it's already happened and it's in the past. And she's like, even if it takes time, I hope that you can forgive me. And like, we forgave her like straight away, you know, like obviously she's Mum and she did what everyone else was doing, and that was normal in my country. And then after I came out of hospital, I was a normal kid again, and just growing and loving being in a new country and everything. And the only time I ever really had issues as a child was when I was urinating. Like, it always felt like burning, like it was always like felt like it was burning. And then over time, I feel like I kind of got used to it, so I almost didn't feel it anymore. And then it didn't cause me any issues until I was pregnant with my son, with my first child. And when I was pregnant, like I remember my first antenatal clinic appointment when they have to like check inside, because obviously they have my history, they can see that I was in hospital or whatever, FGM, all that is on there. And she, the midwife asked me, you know, if she could check it, everything. I was like, yeah, sure. So she checked it, and the first thing she said to me is like, look, it looks like we might have to do like if you have natural birth, we'll have to cut
An episiotomy?
Yeah, that's what it's called. She said it looks like that's what we might have to do, because it's quite narrow still, even though, because like they only opened enough for me to urinate, they didn't do the whole thing.
Okay.
And then I was like, okay. So then the further I got in my pregnancy, the more discomfort that I had. Like,
it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, it was like, it almost, like I kept telling the midwife, like when I would go, it almost feel like, even though I wasn't close to full term or anything like that, it always felt like there was so much pressure. Like, I could almost say that I'm going to have my baby. If I didn't know what it felt like to have a baby, I would always, my first pregnancy, I'm like, I feel like I'm going to have the baby. Like, it's so much pressure. It's just constant pressure. And it doesn't go away. And then like, even with like, I'd have like spotting and stuff, and I guess that's kind of normal, but I had like a lot of that. Like, I'd have like a lot of blood, then it would be fine. And then when I had my son, I did have to have an episiotomy. And then the recovery was, I felt like I was circumcised all over again, honestly. Like, it's just, I don't know if it's psychological, but like when those stitches were put back in, it like took me back mentally.
Triggering.
Yeah, it like mentally took me back to the place that I was at, that I was like, I was holding my urine, like I was actually holding it in. Like it just happened. Like I just clenched up, and then that was another issue that I had to eventually overcome, and I'd spoken to my GP about it and things like that, but you know, relax and all these things that they tell you. But yeah, it took me maybe 6 months to heal from my first pregnancy, like the bleeding, because it continued. Like after I had a baby, it just continued, and then like the urinating and all that, it took me 6 months to...
Did you have any interventions like pain relief, epidural, during labour?
No.
Gas?
No. They tried to offer me gas, but I didn't like, because I felt like I couldn't breathe. Like when I had it, it was taking up my air. So I like threw it away. So you were
fully present through the whole labour, through the whole birthing, through the birth canal, and everything. And no wonder it took you straight back.
Yeah, it was.
It's hard enough having, I think, a labour without any interventions. As a woman, you're courageous. And then, wow.
Yeah, I didn't want any epidural. They offered me that, and I was like, no, I don't want it. But as soon as those stitches were put back in, like I went immediately back to... I went immediately back to the feeling that I had when I was 4 years old. Yeah. And my body just like tensed up, and it took me a long time to come back from that. And then I was always scared with my other 2 pregnancies as well. Like it was the same experience. So I love my kids, but I'm always scared, because I know that I'll always go back there. Well, I think I will go. I have been back there the times that I've been pregnant, and that's like the biggest challenge for me is that part, because it haunts me. Like when I was younger, I used to have dreams about it,
nightmares.
So my older sister, because I have a lot of sisters, but my eldest sister that was there the day that basically was watching us be tied up, that wasn't allowed to help us. As soon as we came here, she became a social worker, and she became an advocate for FGM to stop, because it still happens till this day in my country, and it's actually illegal, and you can face up to, I think in Queensland, I think it's up to 5 years imprisonment.
That's not enough.
I know.
I don't need to tell you that, do I?
Life behind life. So, I feel like it should be more time, to be honest.
I agree 100%, and I think anyone who listens to this would be in agreement with you. You
like change, and the reason that they do it is because it's purity for them. You know, you're stopping basically it's again another form of submission to a man. A woman is only here to please a man, kind of thing, and it kind of just backs that up, because you're taking, I guess, her power from her. Like the feeling is decreased, and like what I had done is not as severe as the other types that are out there. There are types where they remove, and I don't know if it was because I was so young, maybe she couldn't see it, or I don't know what she was doing, but sometimes they'll remove the entire clitoris, so it'll literally be like a bowl, like an empty bowl, and like the labia is gone, and it's just nothing left, only the outer lips will be left, and everything else is gone. So there are forms which are like severe. For me, while it wasn't pleasant, she removed everything on the outside, so everything on the inside is still there. She just sewed me up, which that's what caused me most of my grief was not being able to go to the toilet. But people that come here or anywhere, or now at least, they have more knowledge of what this is and how much damage it can cause a woman. But then for them to like consciously make the decision to take their child overseas and have this procedure done to them.
Oh, I didn't realize that was...
Yeah, that's what...
That happened.
Yeah, that's what they do. So like when they have kids here in Australia, Western country.
Okay, yeah.
They take them back because you can't do it here. There's no female circumcision, FGM here. There's boys. So then they take them back home, have it done, then come here, because it's not like at the airport they're checking, open your legs and then come back, open your legs, you know, it's not. So you could hide it easier.
Yes.
But I know that now they're doing more to prevent that from happening.
Yes.
Because I know of a case where a woman tried to do that. Well, she did do that, and then she was imprisoned for 5 years. So I feel like if it's something that you did like at the time where it was normal, when you lived in your country and you came here and you learned better, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But if you have the knowledge and you know that it serves no benefit to girls for you to do that to them, you're not giving them anything that's beneficial for them. Actually, you're putting them in danger, because the people that perform these procedures, they have no medical background, no certification. They're not
unsterile.
Yeah, like it's unsterile. It's literally on the ground in the middle of nowhere, anywhere, and she's using a razor blade and like string, like you would sew your clothes. So like it's not safe. Like you could get an infection and you could die. I remember actually one of my sisters had her leg like swelled up because there was an issue where she had an infection as well. So like I feel like we need to, it's not enough what's being done at the moment. A lot more needs to happen, but at least some things are in place. And yeah, so that's my story.
That's incredible. Thank you so much for sharing.
My pleasure.
I just have a couple of questions, if that's okay.
Of course.
So you were in the refugee camp when this happened. Yep. Did this happen in the refugee camp, or did your mother take you out of the camp for the procedure?
She took us out of the camp for the procedure. So we were sleeping in a tent she had organized.
In the refugee camp?
No, not in the refugee camp, just outside the refugee camp.
Okay.
So we were taken to the lady for her to do it for us. So we were sleeping inside a tent.
Who's running the refugee camp? And is it a Western refugee camp that's to prepare you? And then why is there... So the refugee camp, they have like sections. They don't really have... It's not really like controlled. Okay.
It's kind of like a community, you know, and you live there. Yeah, there's people that you can go communicate to, you can talk to, but it's like community living kind of thing, you know. So you're still independently functioning and living. You just like are under aid, like the umbrella of like the refugee camp. So you still have freedom to live how you want to live, I guess. So if she wanted to come to our tent in the refugee camp, she could have. No one would stop her. There's no gates there, no one's checking anything.
This is what I'm imagining, like kind of a fenced area, that people who are going to relocate to international countries are in this thing.
Yeah.
Then your mum's sneaking you out in the dark of the night is what I'm envisioning, but obviously what I picture isn't accurate.
Yeah, no, like it's more like a community, and you know, some people that live in the refugee camp, not all of them are successful to go overseas, so they might live there forever.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of like community living kind of thing. But yeah. Is
male circumcision...
It's that male circumcision is like compulsory in my culture.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah. So they definitely.
So it's not just a women specific thing to make you clean, air quotations.
No. Male circumcision, that's like definitely done. But the female circumcision is done for that purpose, for purity purposes. The guys one is done. They think like it prevents infections and things like the cleanliness. So that's beneficial for the boys. But for the woman, she needs to be pure. Like she needs to be like, no one's going to marry her if she's not pure. And the like that is literally what it is to almost like break them down or like take away their power. And that's the difference between the male circumcision in my culture and the female circumcision, is that the reasoning behind it culturally is different. So,
And then your husband?
Yeah.
So is he Somalian as well?
Yeah.
Obviously you have 2 little girls,
Yeah.
and I can imagine you are 100% against it. And he, I assume, would share a similar
Oh yeah,
belief.
he's absolutely against it because he doesn't understand the whole thing. Like he's like, I don't understand why they would do that to females. So he's very much against it, and like I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy, honestly. Like it's not necessary at all. There's no benefit.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So is your husband a refugee as well?
Yes, but they were sent to New Zealand, so they were flown to New Zealand at way later than we were. But yeah, he's also a refugee.
So he would have had an understanding of what has happened before he met you?
Yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah.
He did, because, and also that's like a whole nother like
story.
Like intercourse and with circumcision is the most painful experience. Like initially it was very painful to when we got married, like I remember, I guess the first 7 days I was married, like we tried, and then I was like, no, like it's too painful, like stop. And then it was maybe like a week before, and like, you know, even sometimes every now and again, especially like after I've had a child, I'm always like afraid because I feel it more. Like I feel the pain more. Like it's uncomfortable. It feels almost like a stab, like a knife kind of stab. It's not very pleasant. But once, I guess after the first month, then I was able to kind of relax. And also like the thing is like I would tense up as well, and that was contributing. So I went to a gynecologist, we did some exercises and things like that, which helped like try and get me to relax and things like that. So that definitely helps. So, I mean, if anybody out there is experiencing any discomfort from having this procedure done, then definitely seek medical attention.
Yes.
And it's horrible, but there's ways to live with it and still live a full life.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want more babies?
Mentally, I do.
Yeah, okay.
But physically, I don't think that I will.
I think you are just incredible for having 3. My first one, I was like, and then I have no experience in, what you have gone through in your life.
Yeah.
So you are just, I am blown away by you and your power and strength. And like you've said, just you live a normal life. You're running an amazing business. You've got 3 beautiful children, and you're a beautiful human, which is probably the most important part. Alrighty, I just have one more question. I don't know, we'll get to the end and I'll be like, oh wait, I have more. So you've mentioned that you and your sister and your mother have all had the same shared experience. And how did they feel about you coming to me today to share this?
Well, I spoke to my family, and they're very supportive. Like they said, it's your story. Like if there's anything that you want to run over, like my sister was like, write it down and then call me and then read it to me, and I can help you word it better if you want. So like my family's very supportive. Like they've always been supportive. And my sister, my eldest sister, she's an advocate for
how old is your sister?
She is 46.
And how old was she? Do you remember? Because you said 7.
It was 24 years ago. I've been in Australia for 26 years or something like that. Or 24. So she was a teenager.
When she had her...
Oh, well, no, when she was 7.
Oh, she was 7? Yeah. And then she was a teenager when we had
yours.
And she was the one that was there.
Yeah, she was the one that
was she there. Would have how many... So she's obviously a number of years older than you, so she would have quite a clear memory of the process that you and your other sister went through.
Yeah.
If she was present. So she would be...
She had the most insight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, perfect advocate to be able to say, I've seen this firsthand.
Yep,
like I know how,
and she's witnessed.
Yeah,
and she's witnessed it being done, and that's one of the reasons why she became. Well, that's primarily the reason why she became an advocate. and she does like, you know, lots of things in the community, and she does lots of like translations of pamphlets from like English to my language, so my community can understand, you know, it and all. And we've like, through her, I've had lots of offers or opportunities to tell my story, and I've not been ready. Like I've never spoken about this. I've never shared it with anyone except for you, of course. And I just, like, I'm familiar with you. Like, I feel comfortable, and it almost like, it's like a load off my chest just to finally, I feel like I can breathe now. So thank you.
No.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you again so much. I've said thank you like 1,000 times, but I feel like the word thank you is not enough to convey the amount of appreciation that I have for you, and for you to come on here and give me your time, first of all. I'm always grateful to everyone who comes onto the podcast, but this story in particular, and being the first person that you've shared this with, I am just so humbled and honoured, and thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And I think that's it. But yeah, thank you again. So in the show comments, just on Spotify or whatever, I will put your sister's point of contact. So if anyone has any questions, or, you know, is, I think, interested, like it's more than interested, but wants to learn about the process overseas and how, like, what's being done as your sister is an advocate to prevent these things happening, I will put that on there.
Perfect.
But thank you again.
Pleasure.